Morning, good morning. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, ancestrylands.com. Driving on the highway, folks. Trying to get to work. I almost had not an accident, but almost literally had to deal with someone that did not value their own life. Crossing an intersection, which they did not have the right of way. Pedestrian with his dog, older gentleman, darts off and crosses the street. And doesn't do it when there's an open field of vision. He does it when cars are passing by, even though I'm coming from in the opposite direction. So at the light intersection, he's actually behind the cars that are passing me. And then him and his whatever kind of dog comes into view. And he is not even looking to his right, which is the direction where I'm coming from, to see that I am coming right towards him. Had it been another 2 seconds earlier, I would have hit him and the dog, or the dog first. Me being a dog lover, that would have been highly traumatizing in the sense that he's running across the street, which, you know, is essentially jaywalking, but at the time where he should not be crossing the street, the intersection, no less paying attention. And actually, that happened a little earlier in the drive with two people crossing the road behind a row of cars that were stopped at a red light. So when they get from behind the cars, they have already committed to walking across the street, despite me being the oncoming traffic. And again, it seems like as a driver, for those young people that are driving out in the world today, you have to do as much defensive driving as you do, when I say offensive driving in a maneuvering way as to prevent yourself from being harmed. And sometimes that means that you have to move or do aggressive maneuvers in order to avoid disaster. And that's very seriously. And these sometimes can be more defensive driving, but offensive because there are situations where you need to evade. And the defensive part is defending yourself against other stupidity. And the offensive component is taking evasive action to evade, you know. And that's something that, you know, most people don't understand, those two components, because we're just sold that driving is, you need to be a defensive driver, but yes, you do need to be an offensive driver too as well. Because it's traumatic, even if it's not your fault, you know, the accident itself is still going to leave some level of trauma behind you. Right now, folks, we are headed south 476, and we're going to be passing through the towns of Haverford, or Haverford, depends on the enunciation. And, you know, it's a little upsetting because, of course, I'm cursing the guy out. I'm talking about slamming on my brakes, coming to an almost full stop. And shout out to the makers of GMC, because the brakes on this, what is now a 10-year-old truck or SUV, are impeccable. They truly are. I have a very good trust in the car that I have in the brake system. It responds very quickly. And it wasn't like the gentleman gave me attitude about it. He knew he was in the wrong, so I will give him that. You know, he did a little bow saying, you know, he's sorry. I get that. It wasn't Asian, but, you know, I get the gesture. You know, he realized that, but I honked my horn and he scurried across. There was another car next to me, man. You could have that girl putting on her makeup from our other video next to me. He'd be gone, completely gone. And again, you have to value your life. I always tell my kids, the life they save will be their own. Now, you come to this channel for mindset and knowledge adjustment too, because again, my channel is a learning channel. It is not just learning in one modality. It is a multimodality learning channel. And what you are learning is, you have to become first aware of something like land. You see the videos, you see the video design, which in the earlier previous iterations were a little archaic. compared to where they are now, because we've improved our design model, our video model, our drone model. That moved on to improved land videos, to interviews with market groups and other exposés, where I've decided to interview such people as Don Coombs, Alex Coombs, and a host of others. And that will continue. And you'll see this channel weave in and out of certain things that are very circular in nature, but all the components of it, they have to be established. The videos have to be recorded in that first manner in order for them to be circular. And then you see the videos move on to me doing actually more podcast style or broadcast style. And then it flips back into certain things, and now I'm doing driving videos. Now, a lot of people might think that you need to splinter your channel, but I challenge you on this notion. You can't be a one-trick pony. You can't be, especially with the world we're moving into even more, with AI and advanced technologies coming out. You can no longer be just good at one thing. You have to evolve. I mean, Mike Tyson, for example, legendary boxer that he is, he's still doing, promotional boxing, but he's also doing podcasting. He has this cannabis resort. He has a glamping resort in California City, no less. Yes, that California City where the Ancestry lands properties are being sold and bought by various people throughout these United States. There are people from the East Coast that are future landowners in contract with Ancestry lands currently today. So, and I challenge you to understand the value of evolution, your own evolution. Coach Greg Adams, shout out to him at the Free Agent Lifestyle on that channel, YouTube channel. I support him very much. He talks about the de-evolution of society, de-evolution, how we are de-evolving back into what I presume to be more of an advanced form of feudalism. This republic is de-evolving. The morale of the country is de-evolving, although I would kind of question that when you kind of look at racism and the history of America. I'm not really sure the morale standard was very high, but the decorum, we could say, the social decorum definitely has decreased notably. It's palatable. The gentleman's throwing up over there, huh? If you saw that guy, if you're watching this video, this gentleman over here at the bus stop we just passed to my right about maybe 5 seconds ago on the video footage timeline, hurled over. Things you'll see why, if you notice. There are little Easter eggs in these videos if you find them. But again, this channel was meant to become something. It was never meant to just be. And whatever it becomes, it will change from that. It will evolve from that. It will always evolve and continue to evolve. You're starting to see my children more because they are the future. When I said one generation to the next, it meant that there was going to be a next. There was something coming after the initial, the origin, if you will. I'm a Philip, but I'm another Philip. I'm the next Philip, actually. I'm not the first Philip. And I'm not the last Philip, as there's another Philip Davis coming up behind me. It's like Batman. There always has to be a Batman. Gotham will always need a Batman. Well, the world will always have a Philip Davis in one form or another. And again, in order to compete, you have to evolve. Saying that now, in order to compete, you have to evolve. You have to become something more than what you are, than what you are told to be, what you're programmed to be. You have to extend yourself beyond the neighborhood you grew up in, beyond the social groups you're used to, beyond the educational limitations of your family, beyond the generational curses still plaguing you and others. I'm going to ride right with this bus. And beyond, let me just say, yourself. You got to be able to extend yourself, go past your own limit. Because the world requires that of you in order to have some level of achievement, which is becoming increasingly harder. I mean, hell, in order to afford a home, you have to be able to, well, according to today in 2024 standards, you've got to be able to make six figures, $120,000 to afford. Now, again, I didn't say you were going to have the nicest home in the nicest neighborhood and the nicest school district, but what was a 60 to, you could do it on a $70,000 salary. You now need at least 120 to do. And we've got tons of people out there saying they don't want a man who makes six figures. The degradation of society, the de-evolution we speak about, where men or women making 100,000 and it's no longer enough. 200,000, I dare say, will probably be no longer enough. And the degrees are not promoting the debt that you're getting does not equate to the debt from degrees, does not equate to the salary, the income needed to survive. They're not running linear. They're running in opposite directions, and people just don't see that. So what do? You go to school, you get massive amounts of debt, you get a degree that doesn't generate an income to erase or eliminate that debt. You do not understand interest, that most of your student loan payments is the same as having a mortgage, and the fact that it's an interest, majority interest, and very little on principal. And you get all these college educated people that probably have never read one line in that contract talking about they've paid their student loans for years on years, and yet have never read the paperwork behind what they've signed. The idea of free money is just an illusion to trap you into what is going to be an upfront loan with heavy interest tacked on the backside. And most people don't get it. Again, they say, books are becoming obsolete. Yeah, I get it. Because the more they convince you not to read, the more you get in the habit of scanning instead of actually reading, the more you will be subjected to the masters of those who hold the knowledge, the true knowledge. Keep telling you guys about the writing behind the wall, the initial wall. The first wall is just a script. Second wall, well, that's reality. There's a game that's being played and a game that you should be playing. Bars. That's real knowledge right there. I'm spitting. There's a game you should be playing, but again, no one's going to tell you how to play that game. You either got to figure it out or fall up or stumble upon it haphazardly. Haphazardly. That's by accident, I'm speaking. And you see that they're bringing in a wholly new population, once we thought was people of Hispanic origin, is now coming up from being from Asian origin, down from the border. I'm talking about migration or emigration, if you will. And they're bringing them in, and now they're backtracking because they have what they need now. So now it's time to close the gates. Because we have enough cattle in order to feed the farm again. And you'll see this go in cycles. Remember, you heard it here first. And again, for those YouTubers out there, those people who are working, those people looking for higher education, you've got to be strategic with yourself in life. You got to live a life intentionally. You can no longer afford to not know what you're going to do. Parents, you cannot send your kids to college trying to tell them to figure it out. You go to most colleges, most people do not know what they're doing when they walked into the door before they have a loan, and they do not know where they are going to try to accomplish something with thousands of dollars of what is future debt. Why? That's like getting a mortgage for a home and you don't know if you're going to buy it, meaning like you already are making mortgage payments, not that you're pre-approved. Who in the hell does that? But now you got people going out, they're going to college, wasting years upon years of studying without the intent to accomplish something in the end. So here we are with the student loan debt being what it is right now. And you thought you were going to vote in someone who's going to absolve your debt. But again, there are higher powers that are being. Because what you voted in was a promise, not an outcome. You voted an idea without action. That was just a dream. And when you don't get to that, when you realize that you're in the dream state, that ethereal state again, you will figure out soon that it will be a nightmare. Because not everybody always has pleasant dreams. So I challenge you all to understand that you are going into a world where you can no longer live unintentional. You can't just trolley along and find your way in life. You've got to be intentional. You've got to raise your children to be intentional in life. This mother here has to be intentional with raising her son, with instructing him on the ways of the world, or he too shall live in poverty, or worse. You have to go to college with the intent to know what you're going to do, with the degree it's going to hold. You've got to be intentional with that. This gentleman here is unintentional. Going through, didn't even look to the right. See that? That's exactly what he just did not do. He didn't look to his right at all. He crossed the street like, hey, okay. Like there's not a blind spot behind him or behind me. Can't be, right? He's not living intentional. Or maybe his intent is living unintentional. Maybe that's his intent. But we'll see how far that gets him in life. And then it doesn't look like he's gotten very far at all. And my point to say all of this is that you can no longer think that the world you came from is still the world you live in. You have children, you have a family, you have people looking forward from you for guidance and leadership. And your failure in life to them and yourself is not living a life intentionally. We've got one job, thinking that one job is going to solve us or absolve us of any responsibility that we have to advance ourselves and continuously be competitive in this world. You have a job, a career. That does not mean you are being competitive when inflation is your natural enemy. Poor government policy and poor fiscal responsibility from our government is your enemy. And you are content with what you have. You are not evolving. You have to evolve. You got to take on more. Most people are talking about retirement. I've never spoken about retirement. And again, I've met more people with 401ks than I have met people who are retired. And the people I have met that are retired, most of them did not retire off a 401k. And you got people over here defending that thing like it's some kind of holy Bible or it's the Dragon Scrolls from Kung Fu Panda. Like it's supposed to give you some secret power. And it does not one bit. Because again, you're playing by the script, not by the real rules. You're playing according to the script you've been given. That's what you're playing by. You're going according to the playbook in football, but you don't know how to call an audible. You don't know that an audible needs to be called. See, great quarterbacks, what in the Jesus H? The playbook is the plays that you call depending on the situation. But good quarterbacks know when to call, or great quarterbacks know when to call an audible. And legends understand how to run the plays so the coach can trust in them. And that's where you got to become accustomed to. As you can see, the sunrise is upon us. On the city, you can see the skyline in the back. At 43 years old, I'm now looking at life through the middle point, the waypoint. I'm looking at my youth escaping me, no longer being a thing that is I can look forward to. I now have to look forward to aging, getting older, going into what is a not elderly, but a older man. Right now, I'm middle age, and that's fine. I'm glad to have made it this far. No one is forever young. And honestly, I'm not sure that that perpetual state of youth is as cracked up as it's thought out to be. I think it's a fantasy. And I say that because the things I had in my youth were not the things I've acquired now. The knowledge that I have sustains me. But as a 20-year-old, I could not be a father to my children the way I am today. But again, I had to evolve in order to achieve that. I wasn't going to get that through just simply aging in time. Can't. And you can see how a generation of people, regardless of color, dude, could you get in your own lane? Regardless of color, are being left behind. We're still worried about race. There's no more race to be concerned about. What's being fought now is being a replacement with a new race of people. Well, not even people, but programming. A matrix is being formed. And there's only a few. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them, but a few that is needed. Lady, good. That is so stupid for her to do. So dumb. And you're right back where you were. Like, what did you gain? What did you gain? You didn't gain anything. Jeez Louise, man. As you can see, I'm somewhat upset about it because it's an awareness or an awakening that people need. And I doubt people are going to wake up in time before the door busts open and the beast has its day. But again, for the people who are listening, the people who are following this channel, the people who are listening to these cookie crumbs that I'm leaving behind, these hidden gems that are within these videos that people take for granted, thinking that this video is just simply about land. Like, you don't need a mind to understand, to grow, to receive this knowledge. You have to wake up. You have to evolve. You have to teach your children to evolve, to stay competitive. You're not going to be able to retire into this I'm going to do nothing life. And honestly, how can you betray yourself being a person that has worked this long, this far, this hard, and say that you're going to live a life where you're just going to do nothing and be happy? And again, like I talked to my mother yesterday, this notion that you're going to retire, that what did Grant Cardone say? You need $3 to $5 million to retire. And you've got people thinking that that's going to happen. I dare tell you, with these boarded up buildings over here to my left that you can't see in this corner, buildings have boards up on them. People probably live there. There's a restaurant beneath it. Why wouldn't they live there? If you are not going to evolve, if you think you're going to retire, you think that you're just going to live some kind of life where you can do nothing and you don't have $3 to $5 million, which if you have 20 more years like I do till you hit, I got 22 years until I can retire at 65. If you think that in 22 years that it's going to not be $10 million, you got another thing coming. Grossly misunderstood. You haven't done the numbers yet, have you? You're not going to work. You're going to retire at 65. You're going to live till you're 95, if you're lucky. And you're going to have 30 years of income to live off of. And things like inflation, gas prices, food costs are going to constantly increase and eat away at your dollars just existing. And you're telling me that you're going to retire and you don't have $3 million the day that you say, I'm going to retire. You have no IUL, you have no life insurance, not term insurance, but actual whole life that you've been building for the last decade to 2 or 3 or longer. You didn't get life insurance from Phil Davis. I am licensed to as a life insurance producer. You didn't get life insurance. You didn't buy land. You didn't buy more than one property. You did the basic status quo, or you didn't do anything at all. You got a 401k job that you got a few $100,000. You ain't even got $1 million in there. And again, somehow it's supposed to magically manifest. And you haven't manifested half the things in your life that you talked about manifesting. But somehow it's still supposed to happen. Right? It's still supposed to just magically disappear, as if this world generates fauna or mana from the elven society that we don't know about. Right? Like, that's the reality we live in. Like, this woman here on this corner is going to be able to manifest a life and lose 300 pounds. I'm not talking about her size, but she's going to just think it into being. It's just going to magically will into being. Like, you don't have to watch what you eat. You don't have to start working out. You don't have to do anything but just think it into being. But then why don't you grow some wings and fly away then? You can't just manifest wealth. You got to generate it. You got to build it. You got to maintain it and sustain it. And at some point, you're even going to have to scale it up again. It's not a one-stop pony. It's called wealth. It disintegrates the second it's there, which it requires building, constant building. And then it requires maintenance, like a building. And y'all don't know what I'm talking about. You don't care. You ain't listening to me, man. Sitting here on your iPhones, flicking through shorts, reels, looking at girls do dances. That's all that you're interested into. Looking at clips, funny clips, spending your time saying that you need to get away from your reality. You're going to go back to that 401k, and that's the level of your growth. The most you've ever grown was the degree that you have hanging up on that wall, but you rarely even practice or be in the same field that you went to seek that degree from. You may not even be in the same field, which is crazy. We're in the Chestnut Hill area of Philadelphia, folks. If you made it this far, my book, Getting Dollars from Dirt, is on Amazon. A Beginner's Guide to Vacant Land Investing by yours truly, Philip Davis. Look at this. Thank you. Oh, the nice guy. Thank you. That's a nice thing the person did to let me in. Oh, that's a big old bottle. Woo, boy. You look at this, man. You drive it. Look at this drive, man. Look at this city. You see it broken down, but you do see it getting built back up because they're going to change it. It's going from the broke down hood to something else. And they're going to get rid of people. And people are going to say it's gentrification. Yeah, it is in somewhat. But again, did you evolve to keep up? No one has a right to anything in this world. Life is given. It's a gift. That's why it's called the present. It's nothing that's absolute. If animals have to survive, then it's the same for you. The hunt is on, and you're the prey. You don't understand that. Like I say, folks, you're either going to own property or you're going to be owned this property, folks. It's Phil Davis. A wonderful day. Make sure you evolve, folks, or you'll be de-evolved. I'm out.
Are you confused with today's real estate market? With high interest rates and overpriced housing, it can be hard to find something to own at the right price. Available on Amazon, Getting Dollars from Dirt by author Philip H. Davis is a game-changing book that invites you to embark on a thrilling exploration of this often overlooked asset class. This book is your roadmap to unlocking the secrets of vacant land investment. Inside these pages, you will uncover the transformative power of vacant land as a wealth-building tool. Discover how to spot promising properties, assess their true value, and capitalize on market trends. From understanding zoning and permits to leveraging financing strategies, you'll gain the knowledge and confidence to make savvy investment decisions. With each page you turn, you'll gain a deeper understanding of the profound impact your investments can have on the world around you. Getting Dollars from Dirt is not just a guidebook, it's a call to action. Whether you're a seasoned investor or a curious novice, this book will empower you to tap into the immense potential of vacant land and embark on a journey toward financial freedom and a brighter future.